Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here, especially at this point in the day. And I know that the only thing standing between you and a drink is me, so I'll try and be quick. It's going to be 15, 20 minutes. I'll give you 3 ideas that I think are worth holding on to as you head out for the day. My name is Sagar Gordon, and I work at Accenture. Now, you may know Accenture as a services company. But what is not well known is that we also have a product business called Accenture Products and Platforms that develops products across many industries. So I sit within the digital video product group where we have several products within media and entertainment. One of those products is called Accenture Video Solution. And this powers streaming services for some of the largest brands globally. And I've worked in the industry for many years now. And I remember when early digital offerings of broadcast were developed, they were primarily developed as an add-on, as a means to support catch-up TV for user convenience. But today, the audience on digital has grown to be the same, if not larger, on streaming side of the business compared to the linear side. So my talk today is going to be about broadcast and digital convergence and the challenges this poses on the supply chain of broadcast services. I will then present a perspective of how we make broadcast operations smarter, more resilient, and ready for delivering the next generation of media services. So let's start with what's happening today. No matter which market research you look at, the message is consistent. Linear viewing and spend on linear advertising is on a steady decline, as viewership continues to shift towards digital on-demand consumption in various formats, whether there's online streaming, fast channels, or social. This has resulted in significant growth in AVOD, and streaming services now account for 20% of sports rights spend worldwide. But the audience isn't disappearing, it's just fragmenting, right? It's moving across platforms, formats, and devices. Broadcasters are now delivering content globally across dozens of regions and formats. They're running live, near live, and on-demand simultaneously. Linear, fast, OTT, social, all at once, right? And underneath all of that, they're often dealing with hybrid environments where legacy on-prem infrastructure meets cloud-based workflows. So the result is really high complexity, unpredictable cost, vendor sprawl, and fragmented workflows that no single team can see end-to-end, making observability and resiliency difficult to manage. So what is driving this complexity? Well, when we speak to the C-suite of tier 1 broadcasters around the world, the same 3 pressure points come up again and again. First, technically, legacy infrastructure is driving up costs because they're becoming harder to maintain. Vendor sprawl is slowing innovation because feature launches are heavily dependent on vendor roadmaps. And workflows are still defined at a regional level and often hardware-based and brittle to change. Secondly, operationally, since multiple broadcast centers are involved in the delivery, this results in fragmented operations, causing inefficiencies. There are also a large number of customized workflows that are posing a barrier to onboarding new talent. And teams who have spent decades mastering legacy systems are understandably slow to embrace change. So these technical and operational factors have corresponding strategic implications. The business can't respond to demand shifts quickly enough. It's hard to launch, for example, a fast channel, a pop-up for sporting events, and engage audience on social networks or implement new monetization experiments. And here's the part that I find most important, right? To alleviate these challenges, every team optimizes its own silos, and the aggregate cost of the business goes up, not down. So what needs to change? Today, complexity scales linearly with on-demand, linear with demand. Every new channel, every new region, every new format means more people, more tools, more cost. And that has to stop at some point. However, this goal is simple to state, but harder to achieve. We need operations where complexity stays flat, even as demand grows. To get there, 4 things have to shift. We need to unify data and insights end-to-end so we can make better decisions, faster, grounded in real business outcomes. Secondly, we need to standardize workflows to simplify operations and vendor sprawl, thereby enabling faster innovation cycles. And next is to enable high level of automation and use AI to help us get to automation faster. And finally, it is important to provide a foundation that lets us keep optimizing as the market keeps moving. With these capabilities, the supply chain can be operated at scale while maintaining a control on cost. So how do we achieve this change? Essentially, we need to redesign the supply chain and operating model end-to-end, migrating from today's complex manual on-prem setup to a streamlined, intelligent cloud environment that delivers content at scale and meets audiences wherever they are, without scaling complexity at the same time. So the first point is on architecture, right? It needs to be designed to work with on-prem and cloud-based broadcast and digital infrastructure, as well as to be ready to support linear and on-demand content delivery in various formats and multiple platforms. The workflow also needs to scale as demand and data scales, requiring an elastic and event-driven infrastructure where such workflows can run. In this way, we are able to support a smooth migration from the as-is to the to-be state. Second, as I mentioned earlier, we need a unified data layer, one that captures and normalizes data at scale, rapidly onboards, turns new technical and business data sources into meaningful metrics on the fly, and powers faster, sharper decisions across the supply chain. Unfortunately, traditional analytics tools won't get us there because they are not designed ground up for this scale and agility. So with these foundations in place, we can layer agentic AI on top, detecting issues earlier, pinpointing root causes, and proposing corrective actions. These corrective actions spans the supply chain and no longer operational in nature to minimize just viewer impact, but also commercial to maximize viewer retention and revenues. So the final piece is policy-driven workflow automation, also powered by AI. It automates processes in a connected and coordinated manner across the supply chain with built-in guardrails for security and compliance. What then emerges is both an intelligent operations capability and a new way of working. Teams no longer operate manually through tools and playbooks. Instead, they lead teams of agents that handle the repetitive work for them. That frees people to do what they do best, think strategically, optimize, and drive the business forward. So this is really the view of a platform we're building together with AWS that fits this all together. So let's walk through this step by step. At the base, what you see is that existing media infrastructure and the partners you want to use for the end-to-end supply chain. So this does not change initially. So the first part of the solution is the connectivity layer, what we call the media broadcast and digital workflows. Here is where the pre-built adapters sit that reach across the entire supply chain from content creation, management, distribution, monetization, and engagement. Unlike some platforms that provide connectivity and workflow orchestration on a slice of the supply chain, ours is working end-to-end. And there's the thing, we use agents to build adapters so new partner onboarding can be done rapidly. The next part is the data and insights layer, where we capture the necessary events and signals in real time from the different parts of the supply chain. Now, we don't pull every single byte from every single system, so that would be quite a huge task and not very useful. Instead, we pull the signals we need, things like quality, performance, security, cost, and utilization data, to build the semantic knowledge required to support the reasoning logic of the agent. The rest of the data stays at source, and the agents request it as is required, either through standard APIs or MCP where available. Now, the data and insights then feeds the orchestration and intelligence engine. This is actually where the decision support agents live that correlate information, identify potential root causes, and propose strategies for remediation. For example, agents such as program guide, quality and compliance checking, or ad break schedule planning automate repetitive tasks, allowing to drive efficiency, speed, and accuracy on those daily processes. These are real problems that broadcasters have told us about, which we can now automate using agentic AI. And at the top is the unified operation console. This is where the operations, ad ops, marketing, and customer care teams and others actually work. There is no more jumping between disparate tools and manual handoffs. They work with process-oriented agents that handle the routine tasks, and they use the time they save to plan, optimize, and grow the business, such as migrating workloads to the cloud or defining delivery, monetization, and engagement optimization for content. Across all of this, security and AI guardrails are embedded by design to maintain governance and control on the agents running within the system. In summary, this solution is a control plane that is decoupled from the media plane. So content keeps flowing. The existing low latency resilient delivery is integrated into this control plane. And then we plan a path to cloud migration, while at the same time modernizing the operating model that sits on top of the supply chain. So let's see how this works in practice with an example. I don't actually have a real demo. We can do a demo offline if you like. I'm just going to walk you through the steps for this use case. So in this use case, we're actually using the platform to set up a new channel, digital channel end-to-end that covers scheduling and playout from a predefined content library. So what happens is the user opens the unified operations console and they describe what they want to build and which partners they want to use. If a partner integration doesn't exist, the onboarding agent walks them through creating the adapter. Then we use AWS Bedrock agents, which then design the workflow, assembled from pre-built templates and displayed back on the console. The user can then fine-tune the configuration at this stage, either with agents or manually, validate, launch, and test the channel before moving it into production. This example focuses on digital channel playout, but importantly, the platform is designed to extend across the supply chain. So from content creation to content engagement. That means no more stitching together different orchestration tools at different stages. We can unify the capability and the operating model end-to-end, driving efficiency, velocity, without adding complexity, and most importantly, creating an engine for growth. So what does this mean? So what does this mean in terms of, in real terms, is the following. So from a team perspective, it allows to move from reactive to proactive operations, identifying issues earlier, often before viewer impact. Teams manage by exception, as they only need to intervene when something falls outside normal parameters, rather than being hands-on with every process all the time, as it is today. Actions are automated and guided, resulting in less mistakes. Decisions are based on data, meaning they are more likely to generate the required outcome, and security compliance is embedded and not an afterthought. From a business perspective, the solution is addressing the need to support convergence of broadcast and digital consistently and effectively across the supply chain. It now means that it's possible to scale delivery without linearly increasing the costs. It allows to achieve the required operational efficiency and maximize the return on investment in content and viewers. And most importantly, allows the business to be more resilient to change as the market evolves and demands capabilities such as more channels, increased regional coverage, new partnerships, and monetization models. In terms of key metrics, the numbers we're seeing are these. Up to 30% operational cost reduction over 3 to 5 years, up to 60% in speed to deliver new channels, regions, and initiatives, and up to 20% reduction in CapEx upgrades. We've proven this model at a large direct-to-home broadcaster that has over 10 million subscribers and delivers across more than 10 countries today. So they started with 5 broadcast centers with fragmented operations and old infrastructure that was difficult to upgrade. And we moved them onto a single broadcast center running in the cloud with operations centralized and automated. Now we're actually helping them to implement the new agentic operating model on top of this foundation. So how do you implement this in reality? Based on our work with several broadcasters, we typically work through 3 stages. The first stage is a discovery phase. So this involves mapping the media supply chain, identifying pain points, establishing a cost baseline, and building a prioritized roadmap. We provide methodologies and tools powered by agents to accelerate this activity. The second is a design phase. So here we define the target architecture, the future operating model, the migration strategy, and a costed implementation plan that can be used to validate the business case. This phase is also supported by what we call reinvention AI agents. The third is implementation. At this stage, we deploy the intelligent orchestration platform, pilot the system with one workflow, and validate it works as expected compared to the original workflow. When everything looks good, we proceed with a phased migration and cutover. Our main guiding principle is simple: establish and validate the approach by starting small, picking a high-pain end-to-end workflow, establish end-to-end visibility, automate with guardrails to prove our value rapidly, and then expand from there. This allows to design and implement the target architecture and operating model within a few months, with an initial high-value use case proven out. This then acts as a catalyst for modernization and transformation. So I promised you 3 ideas at the start. So let's recap all of this into 3 final thoughts. So if you remember nothing else from this session, remember these 3 sequencing principles. If you get them wrong in the wrong order, you may spend a lot of time and money going fast in the wrong direction. Number 1 is visibility before automation. You cannot automate what you don't see. So the first step is always getting end-to-end operational visibility across the supply chain. Second is intelligence before speed. Initially, it's not about doing things faster. It's about doing things right. So making better decisions earlier with better data. Embed the AI and the governance before you accelerate, then optimize for speed. And 3 is the operating model before tools. So our industry has no shortage of tools. The technology is available. The cloud services are mature. The AI capabilities are real and rapidly evolving. But buying cloud services or deploying AI won't help if your teams are still working in silos with fragmented processes. So design the operating model first, then the tools support it, not the other way around. It's about addressing people, process, and platform transformation collectively rather than in isolation. That's it. That concludes my presentation. There's a QR code there if you provide further information, and I'm available for if you want to carry out the conversation further or schedule a demo. Thanks very much for your time.